I'm going to eat a habanero pepper and then finish this video. Everyone knows. Oh, me. Oh my god, I should shoot that again. Didn't I used to do videos where I talked about specific channels that I liked or thought were cool or interesting? What's all this stat stuff? Why am I doing this now? Is this all that there is? And what does that have to do with this habanero pepper? Let's talk about it. It's true that I spend a lot of time talking about analytics and stats. There's something that I'm pretty good at, and when I'm talking to clients, I don't like to make value judgments based on their content. My recommendations are what we refer to as content neutral, meaning that I really like to have numbers and statistical backing for my conclusions. So I might tell a client, well, X video tends to do better than Y video, but I do it because of the numbers, not because of what's going on in those videos creatively. When it comes to the raw creative minutia of videos, I try and stay out of it, because as a human being, I bring my own biases to the process. There's some content on YouTube I don't like. I don't really care about makeup videos. Clarification, I have worn makeup before. It's totally fine if guys wear makeup, but eyeliner makes it feel like someone is about to stab me in the eye. And that person might be me. I used to do theater, so I've actually worn quite a bit of makeup, but I always had to have somebody help me because it was very scary and also exceedingly difficult. Because I don't like makeup videos, I should not be making creative decisions on how to do a makeup video. But I can make certain statistical analyses, and I can draw conclusions that are based entirely on numbers and not at all on my own opinion. That being said, a lot of people come to a conclusion that YouTube is all stats and all numbers and there's no creativity, and that's simply not true. When I'm talking to a client, a lot of my discussions are statistical, but when I'm talking about this show with Matt or the people here, it's a lot more creative. Because of course the creative side matters, and nothing matters more than the format of a video. Side note, you've probably heard me say that the thumbnail is the most important thing on a video. In fact, I've gone as far as saying that it might be more important than the video itself, and that's true from an audience making decision perspective, but what is the thumbnail if not informed by the video's format? So what do we mean when we say format? Basically, it's the basis of what the video is. When you look at videos on YouTube, you'll come across a bunch of common archetypes, and those are the format. When you watch a video on somebody blacksmithing knives, that's an explainer video. They're explaining how they made the knife. When someone unboxes something, it's a kind of commentary. A couple of them are pretty obvious. Like, you can probably intuit what the music video format is. If you're listening to this and think it sounds really reductive to put all of the video content on YouTube into just a few distinct boxes, all I can say to you is, that's human nature. That said, just because we have archetypal definitions of different kinds of videos does not mean that we can't do new or unique things. So here's some good principles for considering format when you're making new content for your audience or making a new channel altogether. First, you don't have to stick to just one format. You can fuse a bunch of different formats together. The video series Hot Ones is a really good example of this. Interview as a format on YouTube generally doesn't do that well. It's hard to make a sustained channel just off interviewing people. So Hot Ones doesn't try and sustain an audience off of an interview. It tries to sustain an audience off an interview and a challenge. Because if you're not familiar, Hot Ones is an interview show where the guests, as they're answering questions, eat progressively spicier and spicier hot wings. Because of this, even if there's a guest that I don't necessarily care about and have never heard of, I might be interested in watching just to see how this rando does with spicy stuff. And by making a unique fusion of formats in your own space, it's a lot easier to set yourself apart from competitors. Like, no one is going to mistake Hot Ones for a 60-minute style reverse shot interview. This is actually something that I talked about in my Yellis Marbles Run video. They fused this challenge content with a scripted narrative. If you saw that video, yes, I did mispronounce Yellis Marbles Runs. Also, I know John Oliver covered it. John Oliver had not covered it by the time that I had done my video, and I had been talking about it since like September of 2019. And yes, the fact that John Oliver beat me to it does haunt me to this day. Thank you for bringing it up. Talking about my older videos where I focused on a single channel actually brings us to the next point, which is that if you have an existing audience, any format experimentation you do needs to cater to their needs first. If you're not familiar, the first videos I did on this channel were about channels that I thought were unique or interesting or had something new to bring to the table. This is like everything from weird, strange music channels to warrior cats. Side note, the views on that video weren't the best I've had on this channel, but it is endlessly surprising to me that people just came into a warrior cats video with a totally open mind. Good on you. Thank you for indulging my weird trips down the YouTube rabbit hole. This was me talking about things that I thought were cool or that I enjoyed. It was essentially commentary. Then I would go into lessons that I think we can learn from those channels, and that part was a bit more explainer. Okay, so I did these commentary explainer format fusion What's the problem? Why did I stop? Well, nothing on its own, but this channel already has an audience. Matt's been doing videos here for a while. Matt's videos are hardcore explainers on the principles of YouTube. We built an audience off that. Making videos that were suddenly primarily commentary didn't serve the audience members we already had as much. So if you come to know this channel as a good place that you can get audience development tips on YouTube, and suddenly they're talking about like, hey man, check out this cool Warrior Cats channel that I saw in 2015. Like, that's just not the kind of thing you're gonna go for. And that's okay. Also, as a format fusion, commentary and explainer is like the easiest combination you can do. So not really setting the world on fire there either. If you're commentating on anything that's even remotely obscure, you're going to have to explain it too. So we decided to refocus how I did videos. Now they're much more focused takes on how I see the principles of YouTube. Very much like the videos that Matt does, but coming from a different perspective. And these videos do much better now. So at the end of the day, we tried something different and it didn't work as well. So we did more of the same. Does that mean that creativity's dead? Does that mean that you cannot experiment at all on a channel? Not necessarily. We might have gotten more success if we tried to fuse more interesting formats. What if we took the hot ones approach and made this also a challenge by eating something spicy? We don't have to wonder what if. I just want to clarify. I'm gonna try and get through this totally normally, like Stone Cold Killer normally. I think there will be a lot of B-roll. I'm going to eat a habanero pepper and then finish this video. Go put the stem over here. You gotta chew it first, because then everyone knows. Everyone knows. Oh, me. This was a mistake. You gotta chew it first. Sometimes spicy gives you the hiccups. Do I have water off to the side? Yes. Do I have a not water substance like milk? No. Did that help to drink that water? Not at all. Okay, so we might be able to get something by experimenting with a different type of format. I can tell you from experience, it certainly creates a different viewership experience. And if you're dead set on experimenting with something wildly outside of your base audience, you should probably try and set up a new channel. Yes, it can be frustrating to have to start over, but if the audiences for the two things are going to be wildly different, you risk alienating both of them by putting them in the same space. They're not gonna like it on your main channel no matter what. You really don't want to segment your audience so that you have two halves that only enjoy 50% of your content. It's much better to have them in two separate places. At the end of the day, content is king, and format dictates what kind of content that you're creating. Sure, sometimes I'll say that it's thumbnail, but thumbnails are the result of whatever your format and topic is. So you're not going to get an interesting thumbnail unless you have an interesting video set up. It's getting better now. So whether or not you're looking to try something new and experimental, or something that you've been doing doesn't seem to be resonating with your audience, it's always good to start by looking at the format. And with that, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to leave us a like to let us know that you liked it and you'd like to see more like it. It might not include peppers, but also, I did include a backup pepper, so let's go. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Little Monster for more videos on audience development every single week. I don't know what we need in B-roll. Here's some capsaicin facts. Birds don't experience the effects of capsaicin, which is what makes pepper so spicy. Because see you next time. Oh, the exhaling hurts.